Hey, what's going on everyone? So in today's video, we're going to clean out my PC. And that's because as I was editing my videos in the last week or so, I noticed that the temperatures on the CPU were getting a little bit hot. It was getting up to 99 degrees and I felt like that was a bit too hot for me. So I took a look inside here. I took out the filter of this front panel here and it was a bit dusty. So I think if we clean this up, we can bring down the temperatures of this a little bit. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. I'll also show you around the inside of my PC and tell you guys what I got in here. So I think that should be a lot of fun. Okay, so if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And we also have a Discord server, so come along and join us there. And I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, so I've done some testing already, and here I'm rendering a video. This was my previous video on the Steam Deck loading, and as you can see, the CPU package temperatures here are 99 degrees. So that just feels like it's a little bit too hot for me, and as you can see, even here in HW info, the numbers are actually in red. So I think the program is actually telling me that this is too hot. Now, I also did some testing in gaming, and this is Cyberpunk 2077, and I was getting about 75 to 80 degrees, so it's not as hot as it was when it was rendering a video. Okay, so I'm going to do the next bit here with a voiceover because I did record some audio, but it's kind of crackly and some of it is missing. So I'm just going to run through the next 3 or 4 minutes with a voiceover. And so as you can see, this is my PC right here. This is the Lian Li LANcool 2 case. You can see it's very dusty there. Inside, it's got an i9-10900K. It's got Corsair Vengeance 64 gigabytes of DDR4 3200 memory. It's got a Gigabyte RTX 3070 gaming OC. This is the Corsair RM850X power supply. So as you can see here on the inside, really dusty, and it's not very pleasant, and everything needs a bit of a wipe down. So removing the fans off the front on the radiator, as you can see there, it's really bad. It looks like the radiator has been completely blocked from the dust, and it almost looks like a nuclear fallout there, with the amount of dust on that radiator. So there I am trying to get the screws out of the fans and also wondering actually how I'm going to clean this up. So I tried to vacuum most of this away. Now this was actually about 2 hours later because my vacuum actually ran out of battery, so I had to go and charge it. So that lasted for about a minute or so, and then I had to go charge it again. So in the end, I actually charged it for another 4 hours on top of that. So altogether about 6 hours, and then the vacuum was working fine after that. But I think the vacuum worked pretty well with the brush tool there. It was able to scrub away inside those gaps in the radiator, which kind of loosened the dust up a little bit for it to be sucked by the vacuum. So I think that worked out pretty well. There's really no other way to clean this radiator besides vacuuming it. So that's what I would recommend to do. Get yourself a brush tool with the vacuum and then vacuum all of that dust up on that radiator. Now, I went through and just vacuumed the rest of the case up a little bit. I heard that you're not supposed to be vacuuming inside your PC case, but I just tried to be a little bit careful and just vacuum the parts, not really the motherboard, but just around the case area of the PC. And then I went and then I just wiped up a lot of the extra dust from things like the tubing of the radiator and then all of the cables, because that had a lot of dust as well. And I didn't want to overdo it. Like, I'm not trying to sell the PC here. All I really wanted to do was get rid of, like, say 95% of the dust for the temperatures to cool down. So you don't have to clean everything. You just have to make it so that it's free of dust so that you don't get dust clogged up in your radiator. And so once I did that, I put everything back together. It took about half an hour, I guess, of cleaning up, minus those 6 hours I had to wait for the vacuum to charge up. But it was a pretty easy job if you have a vacuum. One thing I got to say about this case is that the case is kind of hard to clean. You see there's hard drive cages at the bottom right hand there, and I didn't actually take those out. Actually, you can't actually take those out. They're kind of stuck there. They have this, they're on these rollers so they can move left or right, but you can't really take that out. So that's a little bit annoying. And then if you really wanted to, you could take out the power supply and take off all of the back panels and everything like that, and you could take off the motherboard as well. But I decided that there wasn't enough dust for me to worry about that, so I just put everything back together after I cleaned out that radiator and some of the extra dust on the GPU. Okay, so here comes the moment of truth, the results, and I'm going to put the before and after results side by side so you can see the difference. And previously we got about 98 to 99 degrees for the maximum temperatures of the CPU, and now we're getting about 88 to 87 degrees for the maximum temperatures for the CPU. So I think that's a big win. And not only are the maximum temperatures 10 degrees lower, but generally speaking, when I was actually editing the video, you could see that it was hovering between about 60 to 75 degrees most of the time. And it was really only when it was bursting to the maximum clocks that it was going to about 88 degrees. So I think it's mostly sitting at around about 75 to 80 degrees. So I'm pretty happy with that. The other thing to note, of course, is that this is really just one test, and there could be many other tests that I could do. I could run Prime 95, I could run a CPU benchmark, but right now I'm just happy that I'm editing and rendering my videos and the temperatures of the CPU are much lower. Okay, so it's the next day, and as you can see, I've changed the PC setup a little bit here. Now, this morning I was actually watching a video from Paul's Hardware, and the video was called Computer Off the Ground, and in that video he talked about keeping your computer on a table or at least off the ground, because the dust settles on the ground, and so the computer is just going to suck up all of that dust. And that's exactly what happened to my PC. So I figured, well, I'll just give that a shot and see how we go. So I've decided that I want to keep my PC's towers on the table, and so I have to swap the two PCs around so that I can see all of this RGB as I'm doing my work. Otherwise this would be against the wall there. So that's why the PC's on this side now. But obviously there's a lot of trade-offs to this. It wasn't like I didn't want to have the PC on the table before. The table is actually really small, so it's 1.2 meters by 0.6 meters, and I just wanted more table space. But obviously with so much dust in the system, I think it makes sense to give this a try anyway and see how we go with the tower on the table. And hopefully that means less dust in the system, and then that means that the PC is going to run better and cooler. So we'll give that a shot and see how we go. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.